Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Mosaic, a story of civilization. This is designed by Glenn Drover, and it is published by Forbidden Games.
Yeah, this is a civilization-style game, right? So
What?
It's right in the title. I know, it's crazy. But what's going on is, like many other civilization games, you get a chance to kind of grow your population. You're going to kind of try to dominate the kind of Mediterranean world, right? But also you're going to choose a government to go with, and it's going to give your government special abilities. Or maybe you decide to go with technology. Maybe you want to build a bunch of buildings. Maybe you want to even kind of start building the 7 wonders of the world. All those are options. You can even go to war with your neighbors. Let me give you a quick overview of what some of the different actions are, because there's a whole lot of things going on. Can't give you a full teach, but at least kind of give you a flavor of what's going on in this game. The first thing I wanted to show everybody is the player board. So everyone's going to have a player board. On this track, you're going to have all these different production tracks, right? So you have stone, food, and ideas. Those are your 3 main resources. And over here, we have the stone, ideas, and the food represented here as well. We also have tax and tariffs. Those are going to be an area of the board that you can go to get a whole lot of money, but there might be some downsides as well. All right, so the money in the game can be used for any one of the resources at a 2-to-1 ratio. So, for instance, if you needed 5 ideas, you could spend 10 of the money in order to use those 5 ideas. When you're doing production, what's one of the actions that you can do on the board, what you're going to do is you're going to take the amount of production you have in a various category, and you're going to add in whatever your population is of your civilization, and that's going to be the total production. So let's say we've got 4 population, and we've got a production value of 3 stone. When you do that production action, that work action, you're going to get a total of 7 stone at this point. There's a spot on the board for our trade goods. On the large main board, there's going to be all these opportunities to gather resources and gather trade goods. Once you gather them, they're going to go on top of your board. Some of the cards are going to have certain set collection and point values that you can get by collecting a lot of different trade goods. And over here, here's all the different tiles that you can add to the main board. There's cities, manufacturing towns, farm towns, and port cities. Those are going to be able to place on the board to kind of give you some of that area control, as well as gain some of those trade goods possibly. Also, before the game starts, you're going to get a chance to draft a leader. There's all these different leaders. They all kind of give you an asynchronous start to the game. You're going to gain maybe some resources, maybe some production, maybe a special ability as well. They're all different. They're all going to kind of give you a direction to go as you're playing the game and kind of get you a head start in various categories. All right, here's the setup for our main board. Basically, you have a whole bunch of these tiles, which you're going to lay out there, and you're going to flip them all over face up. Some of them are going to have X's on them. I'd say about half of them actually have X's on them. Those you're just going to simply remove from the game. It's going to leave you with kind of the board half filled in with all these different tokens. You're going to start the game by being dealt a hand of these technology cards. These technology cards have the S's at the beginning to show you that they are a starter card, but also they're going to give you certain things. This one gives you 3 tax production, as well as 10 money, and it gives you this kind of this tag at the bottom here. Those are going to be very important later on. Other ones might give you multiple tags, some kind of special abilities. This particular one says you get 2 food production per that symbol whenever you play this particular card. Other cards are going to have prerequisites on them. This particular card says, in order to play this card, you need to have at least one of those symbols already built. But then you get some extra benefits and gives even more tags for later on. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to be dealt 5 of those. You need to keep one of them, pass the rest to the left, and keep on going until everyone has now a new set of 5 cards. Whenever you have the prerequisite met for any of your technologies that you buy, you can lay them down right away and they are in effect right then. So that's the first action I want to talk about, is you can get new technologies. So when you take that action, you're going to be able to choose one of those 5 cards. You need to pay 5 ideas, and you're going to be able to play that card right in front of you. Now, if you have not yet met the prerequisites for that card, you're going to simply turn it face down and wait until you do have met the prerequisites met, and then you turn it face up and enact those abilities. The next action I want to talk about is adding population. So there's going to be some cards up here that are going to be population cards. The ones out there, I'm not sure how well you can see them, but it says you can add 4 population by paying 30 food, or you can gain 3 population by paying 20 food. And then also at the kind of the bottom there, you can always pay 15 food to grab 2 population as your action. But those are going to be a whole other way to get population, which is going to help you with your work. All right, so work we already talked about a little bit, but work is when you actually make your production. You're going to add your population to whatever your production value is of whatever various resource you want to grab, and you're going to take that many of that resource. Building is another very important aspect of the game. The building action is all over here. You're going to have a various row of 5 cards. There's going to be things like projects, cities, towns, farm towns, port cities. When you buy those cards, you have to pay some resources. For instance, for a city or a port city, it's going to cost you 4 stone and 2 population. If you build a project, it's going to cost you 5 stone and 5 ideas. But if you build a town, like a manufacturing town or a farm town, it's actually free. You're going to take one of the tiles from your supply and you're going to put it somewhere on the board. If you covered up one of those trade goods or one of those other abilities, you're going to be able to take that tile and add it to your personal board and take that benefit if it gives you one. Just like before, on the bottom of those cards, there's going to be some of those tags. There's also going to be some special benefits and even some victory points that you can earn as well from all those different buildings. There's a separate action I want to talk about called building one of the wonders of the world. Basically, the more you have of those wonders of the world, the more expensive they get. So the first one is only going to be 20 stone and 5 food. But the next one you buy is going to be 25 stone and 10 food. And you keep on going up higher and higher the more you build them. And I'll show you what those look like in just a moment. Then over here on the left side, we have our taxes and tariffs. There's basically some cards over here that are going to say you're going to cause some unrest amongst your civilization, amongst your population by taxing them. However, you're going to get a lot of money. So let's say this particular one says you're going to get money equal to 2 times your population plus 2 times however many of those black symbols you have in your civilization plus whatever your tax production is. But you're also going to get 3 unrest, which is negative victory points at the end of the game. So that may be worth it to you. In addition, there's going to be some money added to this holding area whenever cities and ports are created. And whenever you take one of those tax or tariff actions, you get to take whatever money is on that holding area. There's also a military action. That's going to be how you can get out your infantry and your cavalry. If you have a special ability, you can also get siege engines, which are even more powerful. It's going to cost you some money, but you can also use that action to move them around as well. The last action I want to talk about is the government action. Basically, there's a whole stack of tiles here. They're all different forms of government. What you can do is you can kind of sift through there, and you can pay the resources in the bottom right corner, and you have to make sure you have the requirements in the bottom left corner in order to start a government in your civilization. Basically, it's going to give you some special abilities and some extra victory points at the end of the game. The last thing I want to show you is these various tiles that you can earn. All right, so over here we have the Golden Age tiles. Those are basically going to be all about set collection of those various tags that we saw earlier. This particular one, so if we can get 6 of those light gray symbols, we're going to be able to take that tile. It's going to give us 6 victory points at the end of the game, plus some other ability. In that case, it says it gives you a free city tile that you can place on the board, which is fantastic. And all of the different tags are represented there. Next one down, those are the civilization achievements. Those are all about different production or different prerequisites. So one says the first person to get to 15 idea production is going to be able to take that tile. One of them says the first to get to 60 money is going to be able to take that tile. And they're all worth 6 victory points. And the bottom row over here, these are all those 7 wonders of the world, or the ancient wonders of the world. So for instance, we have the Hanging Gardens. Basically, you can purchase those with the materials that we talked about earlier. You're actually going to get a tile that you can place on the board. They all have different various benefits and victory points that they're going to give you based off whatever circumstance is. So this particular one says it's going to give you 3 victory points per adjacent city. So maybe you want to buy that one early and try to surround it with cities so you can get a lot of victory points. Or maybe one of them says 1 victory point per every 2 population you have. Maybe you want to put that one down and then try to spend the rest of the game trying to build up a large population. Whatever that looks like for you. So there was 4 decks of cards that we saw on the main board, and inside of each one of them, kind of buried towards the bottom half, is a card that says Empire Scoring. Whenever you go through that, you're basically going to score each one of the regions on the main board, kind of whoever has the most influence in that area. They're going to get points based off of how many cities and wonders are built in that area, and then anybody else that's there might get some extra kind of pity points as well. The end of the game is going to be triggered once either 2 of those Empire Scoring cards have shown up, or 2 of these 3 rows have disappeared. Once that happens, you're going to trigger the end of the game. Everyone's going to get one last turn, and we're going to do one final Empire Scoring as well. We're going to add up all of our points and see who the winner is. Points are going to come from these various tiles, from the area control on the board, and some of the cards are going to have victory points as well. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins.
When we first got out this game and it was being taught to us, I was so frustrated because I wanted a player aid because they're talking about all these different things you can do and all the different options you have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need something to reference. Psych, you don't. You don't need a single thing to reference because everything you need to know is on the board. All the actions, what it takes, and everything that a card needs, it's on there right there. You didn't need a player aid. And it's funny because when we got it out like the very next day, I'm like, oh, I wish there was a player aid. And then I remembered after it was set up, we don't need one. And you would think in some games that just seem intimidating because of how long they're going to be or how big they're going to be. Like, you want that extra handicap, but you didn't even need it. They did a great job of putting all that information where everybody could see it, so you didn't need to have to keep on going to this rule book and reference anything. I thought that was great.
And there was like one card, one like a little open flat book that you could pass around or whatever. But even still, we didn't. Once we got going, we never referenced it.
Yeah.
I liked the leaders you had in this game. At the very beginning of the game, everyone was kind of got a chance to draft one of these leaders. And they all had all these asynchronous abilities. Maybe it gave you a bunch of extra resources to start off with. Maybe it gave you some production of resources, not the resources themselves. Maybe it gave you some extra cards or some other special abilities that were kind of ongoing throughout the game. So I loved giving you kind of a little bit of a direction. There's kind of a lot going on, a lot to kind of look at, and like it's intimidating, right? Just like how do I start? What do I do? And knowing that you have, let's say, a little bit of food production. Okay, I can spend a turn getting some food. Seems like a good choice, and it gives you a chance to get started and kind of wait for the game to kind of start unfolding, so you have a more variety of options to go for.
Yeah, so the first, 10, 20% of the game is people just building that up before they actually get going. But it doesn't really matter because the turns are so quick. Like, you only get that one action, so it goes boom, bing, 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 bing. And the board doesn't change a whole lot to where you can kind of plan ahead. Granted, most of what everybody's doing is taking cards, and sometimes the card you want will be gone by the time it's your turn. But it goes really fast, and so I like that there's not, like, this clean up afterwards, that you just keep going and going and going until one of those cards, what are those cards called that get flipped over?
Oh, the Empire Scoring?
Until an Empire Scoring card gets flipped over, but it's just going. So I really liked how fast paced that was.
Every once in a while, we'll open up a box, and there will be a few components in it, and then just, like, a lot of air. Or basically a useless insert, or whatever the case is.
Like when you open a bag of chips, and you're like, what did I pay for?
I got, like, 6 chips here.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of this game. When you open it up, oh my gosh, there's so many components. You get hundreds and hundreds of tokens. There's so much stuff. We punched out for a long, long time.
Yes.
We definitely feel like you get your bang for your buck out of this game. There's just so many components. And this isn't even like the deluxe version. This is the regular version. There's like I don't know if it's a Kickstarter or if it's a deluxe or what it is, but instead of a lot of those tokens, they're miniatures. So that box is even bigger. This is a big box as it is.
There's so many tokens. Those are all. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's you definitely, from a component standpoint, you get so much in this game. You get your bang for your buck.
So my biggest issue with this game was that there's a lot going on. And you don't know where you are in the game. Like, you don't really know how you did until the very end scoring. And I didn't like that. I felt like the game wanted you to focus on the board. So I focused on the board, but because we only had one Empire, in one of the games we played, we only had one Empire scoring. And if we had another one, I would have done better, but I didn't. And so, I just had no idea where I was standing in the game. Like, sometimes I don't mind losing if I understand why I lost. And I could never understand that in this game because of how it all happened in the end, how all the scoring happened, and you're like, I couldn't even see that was something you had. I could have tried to prevent you from that. I could have tried to draft certain cards, and it just wasn't possible unless you make the game so much longer and you demand everybody to tell you what they have, like, every single turn, and only play like that, but then you're not playing your own game. So I just felt that was kind of frustrating, that I had no idea where I was in the standing, no idea how I could improve my standing until it was way too late.
For me, the problem with this game was about the length of it. Not necessarily the length of the game itself. I have no problem playing long games. But what I like is when a game leaves me wanting a little more, right? You have a game where, oh man, if I only had just one more turn, or oh man, if I only could have just cashed in for points one more time, oh man, I love that feeling, right? In this game, I felt like I had a chance to do everything I wanted to do. And then there was still a few more turns left before the end of the game triggered.
Yeah.
And so it was
The last 15 to 20%.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, okay, I've accomplished all my goals. At this point, I haven't even started trying to get to the other goals. If I started now, it'd be too late. And like, what do I do? We just kind of just play cards and hope that something kind of emerges that triggers into the game. So I wish this game were just set a little bit shorter on the end. The game had triggered just a little bit sooner, and it could have been that our Empire scoring cards were like buried in a lot of our games or something like that.
It happened, and it wasn't just 2-player where that was happening. Because I could imagine because there's not a lot of change to the 2-player setup, so I could have imagined maybe that was why. But this also happened in higher player counts.
Yeah. So. Overall, I would say that this is a game, if you like Civilization-style games, this does a phenomenal job of taking some of those larger, big, expansive games, or even like computer games from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember playing on PlayStation 1, like The Divided Civilization and stuff like that. This is a great job of distilling that down into an evening's worth of a lot of fun. Like I said, it overstays its welcome a little bit, in my opinion. But if you're used to playing those long Civilization-style games anyways, that's not going to bother you one bit.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a game like that, this is definitely one worth checking out.
Yeah, I don't know if this is one that I would gravitate towards, but... However, I do feel like this would be a great game to introduce people to that idea, to Civ games. Because like I said, you didn't need a player aid. The turns were super fast. We hardly had to reference anything. So I feel like that is a great way to introduce somebody into a game like this.
Hey guys, this is a fun one.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. If you liked what you saw, consider leaving us a tip. There's a link down below. Until then, you can follow us in all of these places.
Bye guys.
Bye.